The Immortal John Hancock here, and today I thought I'd do a different type of video and talk about the Sega Genesis and starting over collecting. There's a lot of people out there that have sold their collection. There's a lot of people that have no longer collected, but maybe want to get back into collecting and don't know where to start. Maybe you've been out of the game for a long time, or maybe you're just wanting to have a basic collection. This video is for you. I've been collecting Sega Genesis a long time, and I thought I'd share with you where to start. This is just a starting point, or maybe you're new to the Sega Genesis and you have no idea where to begin with it. This is for people that want to collect hardware. For others, you may want to just emulate Sega Genesis games, and I just thought I'd give you a basic guide. If you were to start over today with the Sega Genesis, what you would do. And so first and foremost, this is a Sega Genesis. And if you want to collect it, I do recommend getting original hardware. Now, original hardware varies. There's lots of different types of hardware to get. I would get a Model 1. The reason why I go with original hardware is that you can play everything. And there's lots of different aftermarket hardware. There's FPGA, the analog consoles. They're expensive and out of print. I think the thing to remember with original hardware is that it works best with old television sets because it comes with audio video cables. And if you want to go and you're playing on a newer monitor, you can get aftermarket cables for that. HD Retrovision does a nice pair for that. There's also some HD adapters as well that are amazing. Anyways, just starting out, I do recommend original hardware, and there's lots of aftermarket cables you can go with. Say that's not an option for you. This is an older model. I did do a video on my channel about it, and this is the Mega Retron HD. For aftermarket hardware, this is pretty good, and I do recommend this as it's a budget option. It was about 60 bucks. It comes with a nice aftermarket controller. And let's talk about controllers. I recommend the 6-button controller. This one is you can go original, or you can go with one from Retrobit, 10-foot length cable and affordable. And so there's lots here to jump into, but this is just a basic guide. If you were to start over, where to begin. There's also multi-carts, and if you don't want to collect software at all, you can go with something like an older EverDrive. The newer ones are really expensive, but they play everything. Stone Age Gamer does a nice breakdown of exactly what the EverDrive carts do, so you may want to go there and check out. They do offer the newer ones, and they do play everything. All right, let's jump in to games. So this is just a basic guide. This is not a comprehensive guide to go over everything, but I thought I'd just help fellow collectors out. Where to start, where to begin. All right, the number one game that I recommend. So we're talking about software. Okay, you have your hardware, you've chosen original, or maybe you go with aftermarket, and you need to play games. There needs to be games that if you're wanting to collect. And the first one I recommend is actually the Genesis 6-pack. Now, this is an amazing collection of 6 different games. It represents Sega well. It's got Golden Axe, Sonic the Hedgehog, Columns, Revenge of Shinobi, Streets of Rage, and Super Hang-On. And you know what? This really does a good job of saying, hey, here's some games on Sega that Sega is known for. Always go, if you want to save money, just go with just cart only. You can get this super cheap, and you can get this on eBay all day long. And so, or go shop at your local game shops. I'm sure they appreciate the business. Sega does not have what I call the Nintendo tax. And you know what? You're going to pay more by collecting Nintendo collectibles. Sega always seems to be more affordable. And you know what? You're getting a great retro console that represents the era well. Sega was huge in the late 80s, early 90s. And you know what? It's one of my favorite things to collect for. So anyways, go with something like the 6-pack. Fantastic option. All right, Ted, this one's for you. A fan reached out and said, hey, talk about Vector Man. Okay, Vector Man, kind of a forgotten platformer, and it's got fantastic graphics and gameplay. There was actually 2 of them for the Sega Genesis. You can get this one super cheap. Vector Man, great platformer specific for Sega Genesis, and I highly recommend it. And these are all picks I would go for. They're not going to break the bank, and you're going to enjoy getting these and saving money and getting back into the game. If you haven't collected for a while, those prices are kind of all over the place. So I'm picking some games that are fun to play, but you also can collect, because I think that's important when you're starting out, is that you're enjoying your collection and playing the games that you're getting. You're going to get more value out of that, and you know it's going to vary on the games that you want to play. Next up, Desert Strike. I've talked about this game in the past. I really have enjoyed going back and playing the original Desert Strike. In fact, I think going back even to my ranking videos, I think I might rank this one higher now. As you know, I really have enjoyed the original Desert Strike. It's a perfect fit on the Sega Genesis, and just well done. Really like the series. There's 3 of them on the Sega Genesis: Jungle Strike and Urban Strike. I really like Jungle Strike. All of them are fairly affordable too, so why not start with Desert Strike? First one. Sports games, I think, get often overlooked, and maybe you're not the biggest sports person, but for Sega Genesis, it's a large part of the library. And so maybe you want to check out a game, and if you're not the biggest sports person but you like arcade games, definitely go with an NBA Jam. The first one's really cheap, and you know what, you can get these games affordable, especially loose. Going loose only on these. Make your own case, stack them up on a shelf or something. Just enjoy it. But yeah, you can't go wrong with NBA Jam. A lot of fun. This is there's 4-player adapters for the Sega Genesis. There's a 4-player option for that. You also can go with something like NHL 94, or you can go with a Madden. And you know what? I've covered the Maddens on my channel, and Madden 93, fairly affordable. You can go with many other sports games. If you're into baseball, you're into something else, tennis. I just kind of went with the bigger sports, and you may want to go that route, as you know what, it's a very affordable way of adding some games to your collection if you want to go physical card only. There's also a couple other big games on the Sega Genesis library, and I'm just picking the ones that are really cheap. Sonic 2, if you're a big Sonic fan. Now the 6-pack has the original Sonic the Hedgehog on it, but Sonic 2 is probably, in my opinion, one of the best all-around Sonic games. It's got a 2-player mode. It's got awesome, amazing graphics, and it really did show what the Sega Genesis was capable. There's also Sonic 3. That one costs a little bit more, but Sonic 2 was cheap and available, and it's still readily available. The first one is probably easier to find, but Sonic 2 is definitely, if you're a Sonic fan, definitely have to play that as well. Now, this next one has some issues with the 6-button controller, which I do recommend for the Sega Genesis. But if you have an original 3-button controller, go with Ms. Pac-Man. This is a fantastic release, and I do think it's one of the better arcade games on the Sega Genesis. Road Blaster's another one, but that one's a little bit more expensive. This one's super cheap and sold well. And you know what? There's lots of arcade ports on the Sega Genesis. This is a nice, easy one. There's some other picks that people might want to go with, but I'm just picking the ones that, you know, I grew up with. I'm picking the ones that I think are readily available now and more affordable. All right, I haven't forgot about fighting games. There was lots of fighting games on the Sega Genesis. You can go with the Mortal Kombat series. There's also 2 Street Fighters. The first one, Special Champion Edition, and you know what, a lot of people enjoy this one. Really fast gameplay. Also, there's Super Street Fighter 2. Now, this one doesn't have the greatest sound, but the gameplay is spot on. Lots of different modes, and either one of these would be great options. Pick up and play. 2-player games as well. So, if you were to start out, that's what I recommend. There's lots of different options out there. I just wanted to do a quick guide to starting over with the Sega Genesis. What do you think? What other recommendations do you tell people to get into? This was just a starting guide. I hope it helps fellow collectors or people that want to jump into a fantastic retro console that's given me years of enjoyment. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what you see, consider hitting that like and subscribe button and clicking the bell as I'm uploading videos every week. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. This is the immortal John Hancock, and you take care.